everybody, it's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the Maelstrom of Warhammer 40,000. Yes, we are back with the masters of the Maelstrom. We have Huron Blackheart and his bestest pals in all the universe all together here at last. I mean, they're absolutely spectacular. This is like Wardens of Ultramar, but like turned up to 11. So a massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending me these guys early to build up and paint with all of you. And I've, well, got a lot of admin to go through first. So before we jump in, I will just say they've all been primed in Grey Seer. Now, the order of operations for things is going to be slightly tricky with this one because, well, as I said, this is like the Wardens of Ultramar, but dialed up to 11. As you can see, there's a lot more detail, a lot more different stuff going on, especially across all of our Space Marines. For example, we have an apothecary over here who's all in white, as but one example. So, how are we going to do this? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take out this guy, and this guy, and this guy, leaving us with our 4 Space Marines. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to focus on Huron. So we're going to basically get him up to War Hipster Battle Ready. And there is a little bit of crossover here and here. But what we're going to do is we're going to avoid the things that we are directly needed for these guys. And then do them once he's fully battle ready. So start with him, do these bits at the same time. For example, we've got all the red to do on him. So we'll do the red here, and we'll do the red here, and we'll do the red here. And then we'll do like some of the black, and we'll do black here, and some of the black here. But then what we'll do is we'll separate things out, right? So then at that point, we're mostly focusing on him. Then we'll go through and we'll finish off these 3, and then we'll jump across to the other 3 as well. It's complicated, but it'll all make sense in just a minute once we get started. So the place we're going to begin on all of our Space Marines is, as already mentioned, is going to be the red. And the colour we're going to be using first is Baal Red. We're going to be applying this, like I said, over the top of all of the red armour across all of our Space Marines. And so with all of that Baal Red applied and fully dry, what we're then going to do is take some Flesh Tearers Red. I'm going to apply this over the top. So with all of that red now done, what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Black Legion. And we're going to apply this over top of, well, all of the black details. Now, I would recommend having the box art open in front of you for this because there is a lot of black details across all 4 of our Space Marines. However, what we will do after we've applied them all is we'll do a little show and tell after this so you can just see where I've placed them. This is going to be things like most of the armor trim, any remaining armor panels that aren't on our apothecary, the cloak of Huron, the outside of it, the robe of our librarian. The soft gaps in the armour. Power cablings. And all that good stuff. So with that all done, what we're going to do now, it's a little bit earlier than planned, but we're still waiting for things to dry across all 4 of them. Well, the other 3. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Seraphim Sepia and we're going to thin it down in roughly 1-to-1 mix of Larmium Medium and Seraphim Sepia. And we're going to apply this over top of his armour. And this is because he's got this kind of ivory finish, but it's not like pure white, as well it shouldn't be. So this is where we've got to so far on all 4 of our Space Marines. As you can see, the red, black, and now obviously the Seraphim Sepia have been applied to the Apothecary. And if we just turn them over, there we go. And that is what we've done in terms of the placement of the black and the red. So what we're going to do now is move on to the next colour, which is going to be on Huron alone, I think. I'm pretty sure. And the colour we're going to be using next is Gryph-Charger Grey. We're going to be applying this over top of Huron's tabard and the inside of his cloak. And whilst we wait for that to fully dry, what we're going to do is take 2 colours, Aggaros Dunes and Cygor Brown. And we're going to apply this over top of the fur. So we're going to start with the Aggaros Dunes, and we're going to apply this like this, all the way across the shoulders. Like so. Then what we do is we wash the brush, grab some Cygor Brown, and then we're going to apply this mostly over the back. Like so. I'm going to apply a little bit of it across the middle here, like that, and then we wash the brush and just pop back to some Aggaros Dunes and use this to just smooth out any hard transitions that we might have between the 2 colours. Like that. Quick point of order, we did apply some Gryph-Charger Grey over the top of the Headsman's Axe's grips, but what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over the top of the wood of said axe handle grip thing. And with that all done, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde. We're going to apply this over top of any skulls, bones, and parchment. Now the Mantis Warrior, our librarian, has got some not skulls on his shoulders and on his back. They look like skulls, but they're not. Well, they might be, but they're not the same colour. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Nazdreg Yellow. I'm going to apply this over top of our Librarian's Tabard. And now whilst we wait for that to dry, we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade. And we're going to apply this over top of the little scrolls. Just in here. Like that. And like that. And we're going to apply this over top of the ram's heads. On the shoulders and back. Those skulls, not skulls I was talking about before. But what we're also going to do is we're going to apply this Agrax Earthshade over the top of the grip on Huron's axe. So with that all done, we now take some Coelia Greenshade and we apply this over top of Huron's tabard, and we're going to apply this over top of the grip on our headsman's axe. And then next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Ratling Grime and we're going to apply this over the top of the hair on this unfortunate individual, and we're also going to apply this over top of any remaining leather across all of our guys. Pardon me, but there is one little bit of leather left, which is the gloves on our librarian, to which we're going to use some Cygor Brown. And there's one other little detail as well, and it's a little sculpted detail on the tabard. So with that now done, we're going to take some Reikland Fleshshade and we're going to apply this over top of any desiccated flesh. So this is going to include Huron's face, or what's left of it, and the heads on our executioner's belts and things like that. It's not going to include the apothecary's face, or indeed his victim. And whilst we're now waiting for all that Reikland Fleshshade to dry, what we're going to do is take some Gutrippa Flesh. And we're going to apply this over top of the orc head. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is take some Druchii Violet. We're going to apply this over top of the desiccated flesh that we did with Reikland Fleshshade. And with that all done, we then take some Biel-Tan Green and we apply this over top of the orc's head. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to apply this over the top of the inside of the orc's mouth and over the top of his bottom lip. And we're also going to apply this over the top of our 2 remaining faces. So with that now done, what we're going to do is take some Kroxigor Scales. And we're going to apply this over the top of the bottom half of 2 of these bottles. This one and this one. And for the other bottle on Huron, we're going to take some new Nazdreg Yellow, and we're going to do a very similar thing. And for all the vials on our apothecary, we're going to take some Flesh Terrors Red and do exactly the same thing. With those vials now all coloured in, we're going to take some Black Templar and we're going to apply this over top of the negative space in the vial. Like that. But one other thing we're going to do with the Black Templar is over the top of the tabard. So we're going to apply a little bit of this towards the bottom on Huron, and then we're going to kind of stipple it on and then stipple it off. So take that Black Templar and we just apply this really roughly over the top of the sort of lower half of the tabard. Then we wash the brush, get rid of the water, and we just go in there and kind of disturb it with the brush like that. So it's time for a quick fit check, as it were. Here are the 4 Space Marines as it stands, because, well, we are at that point now where all that's left is metallics. So just a quick review of where we're at so far. There we go. Looking great. So, let's start with those metallics, shall we? And, well, the first one that we're going to use is some thinned down Iron Warriors. We're going to be applying this over the top of, well, quite a few details. The best thing to do, of course, as I always say at this point, is to have the box art open in front of you, because there is a ton of silver and there is a ton of gold across all 4 of our miniatures, I should say. So we're just going to start with the silver. Going to get this over the top of things like blades and mechanical stuff and all that good stuff. And yeah, it doesn't matter too much if you get some silver on some stuff that's going to be gold as well. It'll just act as a nice little base coat for the gold when we come to do it next. So for now, have your box art ready open. Just start getting this Iron Warriors over the top of all the silver. And so with all that silver applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Retributor armor. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of our gold details. And it's the same deal as the silver. I'd recommend having that box art open in front of you to see where it's all placed. So with that all done, it's time for some shading. We're going to start with some Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply this over top of all the silver, all of the black, and in the case of Huron, we're also going to apply this over top of both bits of cloth that aren't black. Well, we're also going to apply it over the black, but we're going to apply this over the top of the tabard and the inside of the cloak. And with that Nuln Oil all applied, we're then going to take some Reikland Fleshshade, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the gold. And with all that Reikland Fleshshade applied, we're then going to take some Agrax Earthshade. We're going to apply this over some of the areas that we just kind of want to add a little bit of kind of extra wear and tear to. So for example, over the top of this fist up here on the axe, and this little gold band just there. We're going to apply this over top of his, I guess you'd call it an iron halo, or fallen iron halo, or indeed trophy rack would also be appropriate. But we're also going to apply this over the top of this little bit of shield rondel type thing there, like that, and we'll apply it over the top of the vent here like that sort of thing. Just apply a little bit of Agrax up there. Like that. And like that. There we go. Looking great. But the other place that we're also going to apply this on our headsman is over the top of the sort of, well, the non-cutting part of the axe blade. So here. Like that. So with those shades all applied, these four are now at what I would call a War Hipster battle ready, and they're looking pretty good. However, we're not going to leave them there, of course not. No, we're going to take them to the next level now. We're going to do that by adding some highlights. Now, first of these is going to be some thinned down Wild Rider Red. And we're going to use this to highlight all of the red armor. Because we've got a couple of other little red details, but we're not highlighting those. We're just going to be aiming for all the armor here. So with all of that red now highlighted, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down lead belcher. And we're going to use this to highlight all of the black trim. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the black details, excluding Huron's black cape and our librarian's black robe. But everything else, I'm going to use this Dawnstone to highlight. So with all that Dawnstone applied, we're then going to take a teensy little bit of Administratum Grey. I'm going to use this to add just some little spot highlights to the sharpest corners in those black details. So with that all done, it's time to move on, and we're going to move on to some thinned down Corax White. We're going to use this to highlight the Apothecary's armour. But what we will also do is we will use this to add a little line between the two colours on all of our vials as well. So with that now done, what we're going to do is going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. It's a little bit early in the video to be doing metallic highlights, but what we're going to do is we're going to get all the sort of generic highlights done across all 4 of these guys, and then we're going to pick out their individual things. So we're going to use this thinned down Ironbreaker to highlight all the silver. So with all of that now done, what we're going to do is take some thinned down Retributor armor. And we're going to use this just to relayer the Librarian's helmet. And with that now done, we take some thinned down Liberator gold. And we use this to highlight all the gold. So with our metallics all done, it's now time to do all of those kind of individual details. And we're actually going to start with our Librarian. And we're going to take some thinned down Dark Reaper. And we're going to use this to relayer his cloak, avoiding the recesses of the black. Keep it nice and dark. And with all that Dark Reaper applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Thunderhawk Blue. And we're going to use this to highlight the robe, but we will also use this to highlight Huron's cloak. And so with all that Thunderhawk Blue applied, we then take some thinned down Fenrisian Grey. And we use this to add just some little tiny spot highlights to the sharpest points in both bits of cloth. So with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Uriel Yellow. I'm going to use this to highlight the tabard. Next up, we're going to take some thinned down Rakarth Flesh. And we're going to use this to effectively just kind of relayer the ram's heads. Just like that sort of thing. And with that Rakarth Flesh all applied, we then take some thinned down Pallid Witch Flesh. And we're going to use this to highlight those ram's heads. So for example, those little segments just along here. Like that sort of thing. However, the other thing we're going to do with the Pallid Witch Flesh is we're going to use this to highlight any desiccated flesh that we did with Reikland Fleshshade and Druchii Violet. So this is going to include Huron's face and the beheaded heads on our Executioner. And we're also going to use this to highlight the inside of Huron's cloak. So with that now done, we're going to take some, well, a small amount of Black Legion. We're going to apply this over top of the eyeballs. And so with that all done, what we're then going to do is take a teensy tiny little bit of Screaming Skull. Not very much at all. And we're going to apply this in the corners of the eyeballs, except for this guy, where we're basically going to highlight all the way around, leaving a black dot in the middle. So with that all done, we've now actually got to take some thinned down flayed one flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the faces over here. But one thing I will say is that with the Screaming Skull, that's what we also did, was highlighted all of the skulls as well. I forgot to mention it. Now I'm mentioning it. So with that all done, we then take a teensy tiny little bit of Uriel Yellow once again, and we apply this over top of this eye gem. Like that. Whilst we wait for that to dry, we're going to take two colours, Frostheart and Warp Lightning. We're going to apply these over the top of all of our remaining lenses, gems and computer screens across, well, all of the models. And so with that all done, there's just two things left to do. One of which is to take some blood for the blood god. And across all of them really, there's kind of little flecks of grubby, bloody stuff. So what we're going to do is here, demonstrate this on the apothecaries. We're going to apply a little bit of sort of patches of this scattered around the model. Whereas on like the librarian, for example, he's got some runes in his tabard. There's the heads on the headsman as well. They could do with a bit of blood. Well, they could do with the body first. And with that blood for the blood god all applied, we then take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this. There's some little text on all the parchment. And with that all done, to finish off the Space Marines part of this, we're going to take a little bit of Black Legion and just apply a little pupil to this eye gem here. So with that, Huron and the 3 Space Marines are now, well, pretty much finished. There's only a couple of things left to do on them, which is of course the basing, which we'll come around to a little bit later, because as part of that as well, Huron's got his little Pokemon right there as well. So we'll come back to painting that a little bit later on. So he's still on there because we've still got to film with him. It's just so I remember where I'm at, because this is a complicated video. So what we're going to do now is move on to the other 3 members of the crew. We have the dog, we have the Tyrellian, and we have the human as well. So we're going to try and paint these all three at the same time, but this is going to be another unfortunate case of us sort of moving between them, and it might get a little bit over focused on one for a time, but it is what it is. They are very, very different miniatures. So the place we're going to start is just like we did on the Apothecary. We're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lamia Medium and Seraphim Sepia, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the sort of bony white details. So this is going to be the throne upon which she stands, this little bit of armor at the front of the dog here, and all of the armor of the Tyrellian. So let's just get that started, shall we? Here we go, and put up my picture for reference. There we go. So off we go. So with that all done, we're now going to take a roughly 2 parts Lamia Medium to 1 part Flesh Tearers Red mix, and we're going to apply this over top of all the red skin of our little dog. Whilst we wait for that to fully dry, we're still going to stick with Flesh Tearers Red, because what we're going to do now is apply this over top of all the red parts of the other two. So this is going to be things like shotgun shells on our bounty hunter, and it's going to be the inside of this lady's coat. But I'm not going to do this computer screens just yet. We'll save those till later. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Berserker Bloodshade, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the dog. So we're going to apply, well, not all of the dog, but we're going to be applying it over the top of all of his skin, including those bits on the underneath that we've left. So with that all done, you'll have noticed on the models there's 2 different types of sort of black details that are going. There's some very, very hard black details like the coat on our human, but there's also some blended black details like, for example, the face on this dog. Well, this is the shaded version, which is why I've got it here on the camera. But what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the sort of hard black details. So we're going to leave the blending until a little bit later, because we've got various bits of stuff to do before we get there. So this is going to, on the dog for example, be things like his claws and this sort of little bit of venting back here, like that. For our Tyrellian, it's going to be stuff like the trousers and the gun and so on and so forth. And for our human, well, there's a lot of black details on her. Lots of power cables. And her great coat. So just have the box art in front of you. Next up, we're going to take some Fuegan Orange, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the Tyrellian skin. Whilst we wait for all that Fuegan Orange to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to apply 2 layers. So we will have to wait for the first one to dry. We're going to apply 2 layers of Leviadon Blue over the top of her coat. Our Fuegan Orange is nearly dry, but we're still waiting for our first layer of Leviadon Blue to dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab some Cygor Brown, and we're going to apply this over top of our Tyrellian's trousers, or shorts. Now that our Fuegan Orange is dry, we're going to take some Cassandora Yellow and we're going to apply this over the top. So whilst we now wait for that to dry, across all of the models, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Ratling Grime and we're going to apply this over top of all of their leather belts and straps. Next up, we're going to take some Nazdreg Yellow and we're going to apply this over the top of the trim of the jacket and over the top of the cuffs of the jacket behind her back and over the top of the rope. And with that all done, we then take some Cygor Brown and we apply this over top of the pistol holster and over the top of her sword sheath. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Templar. And we're going to do a little bit of sort of blending here. So over the top of our dog, the first thing we're going to do is over the top of the snout, we're just going to apply this. And we're going to try and catch the eyes as well, and then we're going to blend it out. So we're going to apply the Black Templar like this, over the top of the eyes. There we go. And then over the top of the eyes on that side. Perfect. And then we're going to wash the brush, get rid of the water. And just give it the old blendy blend. Like that sort of thing. Then what we're also going to do with the Black Templar is we're going to apply this over top of the ears, or at least the backs of them. Just like that. We will do the other one, but what we're also going to do is over here is we're going to do some Black Templar blending as well. Now, mercifully, it's actually not that difficult here because the vast majority of the back is black. So over the back here, we're just going to take that Black Templar and we're just going to apply it like so. I'm going to bring it right down over the shoulder. There we go. There we go. Like that. Now this also extends down the rest of the back. In here. Like that. But it's now going to come down over the top of the arms. Except it's most of the outside of the arm. So we're going to apply this like so. Making sure we get it. We want to come up and over the hand as well in just a minute. But what we're going to do is wash the brush. And then just on the inside track here, I'm going to give it a little blend. And just in here as well. Like that. And then as mentioned, we want to come up to the hand. And effectively just avoid the thumb. Like that. Similarly, over the top of the other shoulder, we're just going to bring it down like so. And then just here, give it the old blends, and we actually just need to add a little bit more extra black Templar in there, like that. Then wash the brush and give it the blends. So with that all done, we're now, whilst we're waiting for it to dry, going to take some Agrax Earthshade. And we're going to apply this over the top of these skulls up here on our captain. And we're going to use this to shade the trim of the jacket and the cuffs. And with that all done, we're then going to take some Seraphim Sepia. And we're going to apply this over top of this rather lovely striped sash. Of course, the stripes aren't in there yet, but they will be. And whilst we wait for that to dry, we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh and we're going to apply this over top of her face and hands. And then next up we're going to take some Kroxigor Scales and we're going to apply this over this lovely little tassel just here. And then next up we're going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of the little bits of parchment. So with that all done, it is now time to work on some metallics. And we're going to start with some thinned down Iron Warriors, as always. And we're going to apply this over top of, well, all of the silver details. And just like with Huron and his friends, the best thing to do here is to have the box art open in front of you so you know exactly where these are. And with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Retributor armor. I'm going to apply this over top of all the remaining details. So with that all done, here we are. This is where we're at so far. We've got all of our base coats on now on our 3 individuals. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shade them. And we're going to start with some Nuln Oil. We're going to use this to shade all of the black and silver. And with all that Nuln Oil applied, we're then going to take some Reikland Fleshshade. We're going to apply this over top of all of our gold details. So with our shades all applied, these 3 are now what I would call a War Hipster battle ready. And they're looking pretty good. However, we're of course not going to leave them there, no. We're going to take them to the next level, just like we did before. And we're going to be using some layers and some highlights to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to start here on our dog. And we're going to take some thinned down Aggaros Flesh. And we're going to use this to relayer the sort of, well, the paler bit on the inside. And with that Aggaros Flesh applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Kislev Flesh. And we're going to use this to effectively spot highlight the red. So with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Wild Rider Red. I'm going to use this to pick out the eyes of the dog, but also to highlight the red on the other 2. And with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the black across all 3 models. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Administratum Grey. I'm going to use this to add some little spot highlights to all of our black details. With all that black now finished, what we're going to do is take some thinned down Corax White. I'm going to use this to highlight all the Seraphim Sepia. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Fenrisian Grey, and we're going to use this over this inner piping on the coat. And then next up, we're going to take some thinned down Ungor Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the yellow skin. So next up, we take some thinned down Flayed One Flesh, and we use this to highlight her face. And with that all done, we then take a teensy tiny little bit of Black Legion. We apply this over top of the eyeballs. And with that Black Legion all applied, we then take a teensy tiny little dot of Screaming Skull. And we apply this in the corners of the eyes. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the silver. However, for the screens back here, we are going to fully layer this Ironbreaker over the top of them. So with that now done, we're going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all the gold. So with that all done, we're very nearly there. We've just got a couple of things left to do. So we can start things off with some Baal Red, and by knocking things over. Let's not do that. So we're going to take some Baal Red, and on our Tyrellian, we've got some little markings on the armour. So the little markings are, well, there's a big old triangle on the top of the head, and there's a little triangle next to this. So we're just going to do that now with our Baal Red by doing just a little triangle. It comes down like that, and then like that sort of thing. And then we've got another teensy tiny little one inside it as well. Then we just want to widen out the bigger one. With that all done, we're then going to take a little bit of Kroxigor Scales, and we're going to do those stripes on the scarf. And so with that all done, we're then going to take two colours, Kroxigor Scales and Flesh Tearers Red. I'm going to be using this to do all the screens and all of the buttons and things. So for her it's pretty easy, because what we're going to do is we're going to take the Flesh Tearers Red and we're going to apply this over top of all of her screens. However, for our Tyrellian, that's where the Kroxigor Scales comes in. So for example, over here, this little hand doodad, we use this Flesh Tearers Red on these little buttons, just there like that, and there's some more on the back. But what we then do is use the Kroxigor Scales over the top of the slightly bigger buttons. And just whilst we wait for that Flesh Tearers Red to fully dry on her computers, we're going to take a teeny little bit of Cygor Brown. I'm going to use this to apply some text to this little bit of parchment. And so with that all done, we are then going to take some thinned down Wild Rider Red. I'm going to use this to add some tactical data to all of these screens. So in this case, on this top one, we're just going to add some little scrolls, bits of text going across it. Just like that sort of thing. You can really kind of do what you want really here, but for example on the next one down, we've got like a checklist. And so with that done, what we can then do is take a little bit of Ardcoat and just apply this over top. And with that, these three now go in the done pile. For the basing, which is up next. And so that means we now do have to go back to Huron, because he's got that one last little creature and we have to focus on. I'm going to run through that really quickly. So we're going to take two colours, Seraphim Sepia and Fuegan Orange. I'm going to apply this all over the top of the creature. And we're going to start with this Seraphim Sepia and apply this all over. Like so. Then we're going to wash the brush, grab some Fuegan Orange, and then just up the back and over the feet, we're going to apply this like so. Whilst we're waiting for that to fully dry, we're going to take some black Templar and we're going to apply this over top of the large rocks on all of our bases. And so with that all done, we're then going to take two colours, Luxion Purple and Flesh Tearers Red. I'm going to use these over the top of, well, the remaining details on the little creature. So we're going to start with some Luxion Purple. We're going to apply this inside the mouth, over the top of the tongue and the teeth, like so. And then we're going to apply this Luxion Purple over the top of the little spines on its back, as well as the little scales. However, what we're also going to do with the Flesh Tearers Red is we're going to apply this, even though it's still wet, over the top of the tongue, like that. And then we're going to wash the brush once again. I'm going to use the Flesh Tearers Red over the top of the eyes and the claws. And so to finish it off, we're then going to take a little bit of Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to pick out the teeth. And so with that all done, it is now time to finish off Huron and the Masters of the Maelstrom. And we're going to use Stirland Mud to do this, and then we're going to dry brush it with some Tyrant Skull. And then, well, dry brush the whole base with some Tyrant Skull. And then we're going to apply some tufts from Gamer's Grass. But that's it. We are now finally done. What a journey, eh? Titus and the Wardens of Ultramar ain't got nothing on Huron and his pals. And there we have it. After a long journey and a lot of steps, our Masters of the Maelstrom and Huron Blackheart are now finished. And wow, I mean, just when you directly compare them to the Wardens of Ultramar, these guys are just so much more interesting to build and paint. They're still beautiful. Both sets of miniatures are wonderful, but these guys, these are a real challenge. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.